Hello everyone, this is Level with me. This is my show where I play levels and talk about what I think is going on in the level design with them. And right now we are a bit of ways through the beginner's guide. Let's see where we. This is the third week we've been playing beginner's guide. Were we right here? I thought we were further than that. Well, that's what it thinks we're at. We're a bit of ways through the beginner's guide. Oh wait, no, we didn't play this second. And okay, so let's see. What are the instructions saying here? The instructions are saying, let's see, to play this game properly, you must keep your eyes closed. Click to begin the game. I mean, of course, keeping your eyes closed for this would be impossible to play because you wouldn't even be able to see that you have these prompts right here. But you know, so there's numbered prompts. Help, I'm blind. 2, I can't see anything. 3, what's going on? Interesting. Yeah, the consoles do resemble Star Trek, actually. Oh, oops. Yeah, they totally do resemble Star Trek, but you know, it's fair use. And if I hadn't deleted all of the voiceover, you'd be hearing Davey Reedon right now telling you to open your eyes if you haven't already. Let's see what's going on here. Fine, help me find the shields. Oh no! Let's see, what do I have to do here? I keep just talking and looking at people. So again, I think last week I was talking about how this part, to me, strongly resembles an obscure Unity web player game called The Captain by Elijah Tibbetts. And the captain, you're the captain of a spaceship where everyone's kind of confused and everything is going wrong and no one knows what to do, and it's all just very like existential and stuff. And it takes place in a big gray spaceship, a little bit like this, and you're on the bridge and you're just staring out of the screen into the abyss, and you just see your demise standing out there. It's like the sun, I think, in the captain. So I think it's kind of interesting because that kind of represents how the beginner's guide is maybe being more inclusive than just talking about the source mod community, but kind of going into a little bit of indie history as well. See what's going on here. I can't die like this. You have to go in here and talk to this person. Oh, I know, I didn't say anything truthful. Oh no. Oh, request to no clip around. So here's what the entire level looks like. And oh, interesting. The NPCs are actually static props, because the fact that we can see their body when we no clip out means that they're not dynamic geometry. Actually, that's kind of interesting. Let's see what else is going on here. I like how it's built. The architecture of this whole bridge sequence is really unusual. I wonder if it's made with a lot of displacements. Yeah, it looks like it's made with a lot of displacement geometry. Displacements are what you use usually for terrain and stuff, but here it looks like the designer wanted like a lot of curvy, kind of organic, flowy kind of shapes. So the best way to get that kind of geometry is to use displacement. And if you're familiar with Quake 3, Quake 3 engine also had something called patch meshes, which were kind of the same idea. The idea is that you're not using necessarily low poly polygons, but it's more like a mathematical approximation of like a curved surface. And when you do that, it's like easier to store everything and calculate everything. So that's what's responsible for this really nice curvy geometry. And I think that's kind of what evokes Star Trek. Especially like newer Star Treks look a lot like this, where it's kind of like an iPod or something. Different genres of sci-fi, I think, have different imaginations of what the future is supposed to look like. And here it's, yeah, very glassy, white metal, polished, clean kind of future. Very different from, like, a Star Wars or Battlestar Galactica vision of the future. So I think that's what helps contribute to the Star Trek feeling a little bit. I mean, in addition to the console graphics, it's also just in general, whoever made this is maybe like a Next Generation or Star Trek fan. It's also kind of like 60s and 70s, very kind of like mod, right? That's kind of what a lot of the Apple iPhone style stuff is coming from anyway. Okay, well, I'll progress in this game soon. I just want to make one last point about the light fixtures. The light fixtures here are very interesting because this is actually displacement geometry, which means that it's not light mapped. I believe it's actually vertex lit. Vertex lit, I think. That means I imagine this texture isn't actually using lights. These lights are all just self-illuminated textures baked into the texture itself. What else is going on here? I like these light fixtures down here as well. Again, what makes it look so smooth is that maybe it's not actually using lights, or maybe it is because they're lighting all this other stuff. I don't know actually. But I really like the idea of embedding the light fixtures into the geometry like this. That helps you feel like it's the future, right? In the future, everything is sleek and everything's like custom built and everything is accounted for. So that's what helps make it feel like the future to me. I think if the light fixture was like mounted as like extra geometry on top of the wall, then it would feel less like Star Trek. It would feel more like Star Wars, where it's like an improvised future where you just, yeah, let's put a light fixture here and put a light fixture there. It's not a beautiful space socialism where everything has been accounted for and everyone has listened. Anyway, let's progress through this game a little bit. So again, I turned the narrator off, but if I hadn't turned the narrator off, you would have heard the narrator give you the solution, which is to come over here and say something honest. And you can see honesty means confessing your exhaustion. Honesty means not knowing about your artistic process, not being sure what you're even like saying anymore. Honesty means kind of leaving yourself vulnerable, I guess. Oh, the console's saying weird stuff. It's saying, "Hey Davey, it's working. You asked me to play back the dialogue file. I got it from the cache. VGUI, you're the worst. VGUI, you're the worst. Seriously." Oh, interesting. So I guess whoever was programming this was encountering a lot of problems with dialogue playback and stuff. It's always interesting when you see little comments like that and like messages to each other like hidden in the game itself. If you look at like the Half-Life 1 code base, for example, you'll see a bunch of stuff. You'll be seeing a bunch of stuff where it's like people saying like hack hack hack, or like, oh, I can't believe this is working, or what's going on here. Oh, where am I? Where is this island? This island's actually kind of nicely decorated. I like the little grass The little grass blades. Sorry. Um, but they aren't swaying. I want them to like sway a little bit. Nice displacement work here. Like, notice the texture. The green is a little bit too green to me, but I like the nice, carefully painted variation of like the dirt and rocks with the grass. The tree is okay. Oh, more stuff to follow. The music is bad? Aw. In the chat, people are saying the music is bad. I don't think it's that bad. I don't know, it's just noise. That's like a valid form of music. Let's no-clip a little and see what's going on. So looks like the way they're doing this is that all the geometry is already like set in there, but then they turn on these walls. Maybe funk brushes. They turn on these walls. Or actually, no, it looks like it's... Oh yeah, it would be rendering because it wouldn't be cut off. That makes sense. And then they turn on these white walls to kind of cut you off from the previous part of the level you... So that's kind of smart. But in reality, the entire level is built out already. I'm completely out of ideas. Now, this is actually something I can't relate to. I always have ideas. I always have like a million ideas, actually. The problem is that I don't have time to finish everything. Or the problem is that I don't feel motivated to execute on my ideas. Even though I think they're good ideas and I think they're interesting and I want to make them work. But the problem is more just like time and energy and work and money. Like, in game development, we have like a saying about how ideas are cheap. And, that's kind of mean. Maybe that's not necessarily true for a lot of people. Or maybe some people really sincerely do lack ideas. But just personally speaking, in my experience, I have a lot of ideas all the time. And the problem is that I'm like bad at working or something. All the other problems that the game has been talking about. And I like this scene. Like, let's take a look at this scene for a little bit. I like the kind of expressionism going on here, where we're kind of floating in a void. And I like how the displacement geometry right here, or these floating platforms, are edged with this white, kind of like plaster. It suggests they're unfinished, especially because the grass texture looks so busy, and the tree texture, the bark, looks so busy as well. So compared to that, this looks just really unfinished, which makes it feel like, I think it like emphasizes the diorama aspect of these different floating islands a lot more. So now we need to find the machine that will finally help motivate us to finish our project. In the chat, people are mentioning it feels like the music is like stuck. I would say that's intentional, like the looping nature of it does make it feel like I'm stuck and repeating myself. Oh, we have to talk about this puzzle. Okay, I have to say, I'll get out of the way. First, you have to close the door. First, you have to open the door. First, you switch on the side. Oh, first you have to... Oh, how did this puzzle go? I think first you have to open the door. Oh, this seems like a nice... I like this where we're like telling an NPC how to solve the puzzle. I feel like in games, there's rarely like teaching mechanics. We're rarely like teaching other characters or other players how to do stuff. Maybe Journey kind of has a little bit of like a teaching kind of metaphor to it, but the idea of teaching as like an NPC interaction, I think, is rare. Usually NPCs are teaching us, right? So now you have. Also, I'm a teacher in real life, so maybe that's why it kind of rings true to me. Now you have to close the first door. Now you have to open the first door. I think you have to close the first door. And then you have to pull this switch. Now just press this. Oh, different variation here. Notice that here usually with these puzzles, when we've encountered them in previous weeks, the airlock between these doors is usually pitch black. So it's really interesting that the colors have been all inverted. I think it does signal like a different state of mind or a different attitude towards this section. So good use of like meaningful repetition. It feels poetic. It feels like a rhyme or something, or a rhyme equivalent of level design. In the chat, someone mentions the Telltale game, the Monkey Island Telltale game, has a section where you teach someone how to solve a puzzle. That's interesting. What's going on here? I'm out of ideas. How do I get out of here? There was a machine that kept me going and it stopped. Oh, now there's like a creepy sound of someone like wheezing in the background. This is some creepy music. This is some fucked up music. Let's see. I've solved this puzzle before. There was a... Making games is simple. Making games is easy. Making games is effortless. I would say it's... Making games, as someone who makes games, I would say it's not easy, but it is more simple than easy, I would say. You know, it can be difficult, but simple, right? Why did I feel so awful when I said that? I mean, you don't have to make complicated games. You can make simple games. Obviously, I wouldn't, like, dispute, like, the emotional meaning and emotional truth of a lot of this game, but I do want to emphasize there's different experiences and different approaches to game making. When I make games, I feel completely energized. I mean, that's kind of true sometimes. I don't know. Sometimes I get high almost when I'm making games. Don't tell the FDA that. They'll ban game making because it's too fun. I'm constantly excited and enthusiastic about my work. It's easy and never stops being easy. I think I am... I do feel energized. Oh god, look at all this text. Let's see. Every time I make something, I feel better about myself. Or 2, I just never stop creating. Never feel bad. It's such a simple solution. Video games are not worth this amount of suffering, and that's something I would agree with. If making games is not doing it for you and is resulting in a worse life, you should not make games, maybe. Maybe try something else. Making games isn't... Video games aren't that great, right? There are a lot of things that are better than video games. Sex. Sex is pretty great. What else is great? What else is better than video games? I'm told some drugs are quite nice. Love, companionship. There are a lot of things that are more important than video games. I will be saved by food. Yes, food is very good. Like a good cheeseburger, I would say, is better than Far Cry 5. I have to say it. A really good cheeseburger is worth like 20 Far Cry 5s maybe. Oh, was there someone in the room? I was too busy thinking about cheeseburgers. I just totally missed that emotional beat. I guess there was someone crying in that room. My bad. Oh, now there's the machine. You've captured the machine. It's waiting for you now. You can begin the interrogation whenever you like. I intend to be brutal. I think everyone probably chooses I intend to be brutal, right? Who wouldn't want to say that? Interesting doorway here. It's supposed to resemble the doorway of the puzzles we've been solving throughout Beginner's Guide, except it's... Does it feel larger? I don't know if it feels larger, but anyway, let's keep going. Ooh, look at this. I love this. I wish their heads turned to stare at me. I really love... I love scenes in games where there's like a crowd of people paying attention to you. Like there's a part in the Brendan Chung game Gravity Bone where you drop where you drop down from the ceiling into this big like banquet dinner onto the table, and everyone is staring at you, and it's just like super interesting. Like the idea of all these NPCs looking. Yeah, I also like the text effect here, right? It feels very there's a school of poetry that's very much about the visual effect of text and layering text. What was that? Apollinaire Imagist? I think it was called Imagist poetry. And that's very much about playing with typography and stuff. And again, to extend that like poetic metaphor a little bit, this to me feels like, yeah, I'm like composing a poem kind of just by walking around a little bit. Which is an interesting effect, I think. Maybe do more with it in another game. Walk through. Oh, let's talk about this room before we keep going, too. I like the design of this room, where it's... In terms of layout, it's structured kind of like a typical pub kind of room. But the actual like spokes of the hub don't really lead anywhere, and almost to like emphasize the distance away from it, like you know, like you can't even see that doorway in the distance actually, but that distance does mean it's like really far away. It is like emphasizing the gulf between you and that doorway. I do like that. Oh, there's no light fixture here. That's kind of weird. It's just like a random ball of light. This room in general is just... What's going on here? I like that there's kind of a track. There's kind of this black trim you see, highlighting the whole path. So that's kind of interesting. I do wish there was a light fixture. It bugs me a little bit that there isn't a light fixture here. But it's not a big deal. I do like this ceiling lighting a little bit. The idea that you'd have... that you're like lighting alcoves like this. This is kind of more this old-fashioned way of lighting, I feel like. Especially with the idea of having like a concrete vault like this. Yeah, it feels like I'm in some kind of like old subway or something, or old, or in the basement of like an old office building from like the 40s. Also, in terms of color scheme, it reminds me of like, I don't know, that lobby scene from The Matrix, I guess. All the green. There's kind of like a green, grayish hue to everything. Anyway, let's keep going. Oh, here's the machine. This machine is very interesting from a game development perspective. Like, I think this epitomizes a lot of attitudes we have towards environment art. Like, this is what we might call a hero prop. And a hero prop is conventionally some kind of unique one-off piece of environment art, like a sheen or like a statue or really nice fireplace or stairwell. Some kind of like really nice looking like centerpiece that you want the player to fixate on. But when we model a lot of these things, like this looks like just a crate with a bunch of shit all over it. Which is part of what makes it kind of funny, right? The function, it's mechanical, but it's like an engine block, but it also has like a radiator part to it, where it's like, like a heating or cooling coil along with these big hoses. Really nicely done hoses, by the way. I like how it's two hoses that are kind of coiling around each other. That's kind of a nice detail there. And then there's like this belt around these like piston things. It's just, and then there's like these inexplicable gears in the back. This is just pure random video game detail. And it's kind of like we're confronting the engine of like video game creativity itself, about how you're just kind of making stuff and not really questioning what you're making. Stopped. Your work was keeping us alive. Those people out there, can you imagine what pain you put them through? I've been so alone. Yeah, it does feel like a stage. Oh, I like the window effect up here. It does kind of feel like it's being put on trial a little bit, right? Like, right? You know, like, the windows, I felt like could use a little bit more like bloom around them a little bit if they're gonna be like that, but I like this overall effect. Or it feels like we're in like a Victorian like surgery theater or something. That's maybe more what this feels like. Like Sleep No More. But yeah, it's a literal game engine. We're confronting the literal game engine. I apologize for leaving me. I mean, we do talk to game engines all the time, though, right? People curse at Unity a lot. People curse at Unreal. Like, why, Unreal? Why are you doing this? Source Engine, why are you like this? And so on. Oh, I would have had more light contrast. I think I would have illuminated more of the room with that. I do like the transition with the dynamic lighting, though. Dynamic lighting is kind of rare. Source Engine. Ooh. And I like... Ooh, nice switcheroo. That's really nice. So now it's not the lobby out here. Now we're out here in this, like, weird... I don't know, like... Kowloon kind of complex. Oh, I wish the spotlight followed me. Just played a lot of Bioshock 1, and Bioshock 1 has a lot of dynamic spotlight effects. But yeah, I guess we were teleported to a different room. Because we were over there before, and now we got teleported over here. So it's a totally separate set. Oh gosh. My followers. I have a troubling revelation. Remember, when you do public speaking, you should try to address the whole crowd. Don't just, like, fixate on one person. Make sure you, like, try to work the whole room. The machine will not apologize to us. We will find a way to live without it. We do not need its games. Follow me, we will destroy the machine. Let's fly around this whole scene right here. Yeah, I like the detail here. So these all look like, yeah, like abandoned tenements. I feel like this is clearly some kind of movie reference. I just don't know the exact movie reference. But I do like a lot of the construction going. And all these different blocks, different concrete blocks. This is a style of building that isn't really seen around in the US too, so it does feel kind of like foreign or like exotic to me. Okay, let's walk in here. Oh, and another switcheroo. Oh gosh. This is really tricky, managing all the visibility here. Oh, and it's the gun from the very beginning of the game. Oh god, and now we're shooting it apart. So what I really like about this is... Oh god, look at all the dynamic shadow stuff. Oh, that's really nice. I really like the... Wait, is it really destroying it though? I feel like those are just creating projectors. Those aren't actually modeled out holes, it looks like. I feel like that's just a texture that's being projected onto there. And I feel like... Oh wait, no, maybe I'm right. Or it selectively erases some textures? Or maybe the whole thing is a cutout? I wonder how it's doing all this. Oh no, now I'm lost. Oh god. But the scene setup here is just super complicated. Maybe it's alpha. But how would you be dynamically doing alpha? So the decal is maybe masking it out when you spray that decal. Because I feel like I am doing like the same pattern everywhere I shoot. And it looks pixelated. And that pixelation to me does look like a cutout alpha effect. Gosh, how are they doing this though? Super interesting. And then they're like casting more light based on how you're shooting it. Super fascinating. Oh yeah, I guess I could turn on wireframes. Oh yeah, so we're just spraying decals over everything. Except some of it is world geometry. Interesting. Oh, now we're like falling through this big white like abyss. Oh, but our fall speed is really slow, so that forces us actually to pay full attention to the narration above. That's a really interesting way. You know, usually games pad out a journey, like a long journey, so you have to like walk all the way down a hallway to listen to someone deliver all their exposition. But pacing out more without like a fall, with your falling speed, that's like a hard clamp on how fast you can progress anyway. I do like how the shooting is so... It's not juicy, right? Juicy shooting would involve a lot more sounds, a lot more... Oh wait, no, maybe there are more sounds. Late pre-cache of solid metal bullet impact. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Wonder if that's intentional. But usually when you want shooting to feel impactful, you have like screen shake, and then you have like the subject flinching and doing all this stuff. When you do shooting like this, it just feels so... It's like more conceptual, maybe. So Coda finishes this game, then he just takes off. Didn't hear anything from him. Wait, how do you know Coda's a man, actually? Like, Coda could be any gender, really, right? This one is the Tower, and to my knowledge, it's the last game that Coda ever made. So we're nearing the end of the beginner's guide, and now this is a section called the Tower. So here we're in another kind of museum kind of setup here, except it's an empty museum. I like how, notice how the ceiling is relatively busy and the wall texture is relatively busy. Again, that's important to signal that these blank things are kind of more intentional on the part of the game, that it's not an unfinished game, because you have a totally detailed busy surface up here and then a more detailed surface down here. So the fact that these are plain and flat means it's more purposeful. And here's like a weird little donut entrance, transition area. And now we're in this big, dark concrete kind of place. Gosh. Like, we're in a big temple. If you're a Game of Thrones fan, this looks like that dragon temple or something. Oh, sorry, spoiler alert. There's like a dragon temple or something, or dragon castle in Game of Thrones. So let's see what else is going on here. So I like the trellis, this like redwood trellis thing going on. It's a little bit too much contrast to me, I think, to have such a bright floor with such a dark wall. I actually just finished giving a lighting talk at GDC where I cautioned people against having such dark albedos. But maybe you do want a dark albedo here? I don't know. Oh gosh. Yeah, there's an invisible maze. What if I turn on wireframe mode? Oh wait, no, that doesn't visualize triggers. Okay, my bad. So I've actually written about this part of the game, because to me, this part of the game is just kind of mind-blowing to me for a lot of reasons. Oh, and then they just give me a bridge. And it's using the dev texture in Source. So this part of the game just fascinates me for a lot of reasons, because to me, as a source modder, level designer type, Coda is just a really interesting, erratic figure, because from a technical perspective, the way they're crafting their levels, there's just like huge jumps always in their style and how they're building things. And to a certain extent, oh, people are telling me to use the show triggers command. Okay, fine, I'll go back here, totally interrupt the beautiful story I was gonna tell, and instead show you your darn triggers. Wait, how do I show triggers? Is it R show triggers? Is it... Oh, show triggers 1. That's not showing any triggers. The show triggers toggle? Now... Oh, there it is. Oh yeah, so here are all the triggers, huh? So we can just solve the maze, I guess, if we want. This is kind of an interesting callback to the trigger, to the maze at the beginning of the game. Except this one's invisible. And this one has a lot fewer kind of twists and turns, I guess. So again, I've enabled developer mode that I can solve the trigger maze for real. You probably get a goodie if you don't press enter and you try to solve it for real. Davey probably congratulates you or something. Mazes in FPSs are kind of an interesting, weird topic because you usually don't put mazes in. Partly for this reason. Partly because it just doesn't make sense. Oh. Interesting. So to me, these triggers are obviously teleportation triggers. But over here in the middle, this looks more like a dialogue trigger. So maybe when I entered here, it would have... Oh no! It would have made Davey say something. Oh god, I keep flying into it. Oops. Okay, well, just imagine I did all that. And I'm sure there is something that you get if you do solve it without the bridge. Feel free to do that on your own playthrough and let me know what happens. Well, I'm going to turn off show triggers, even though I think it's kind of interesting, but... Because what I really want to talk about here is the architecture and the different choice of details here. So, for instance, the operative word you need to pay attention to for this section is the word bevel. Bevel refers to when you have an edge of a shape and you bevel it, which is where you sand it down and smooth it a little bit. And in 3D games, we've usually avoided beveling for a while. Normal maps and better texturing are supposed to do the bevels for you. But these days, because drawing polygons and triangles is so cheap, it's actually better in some schools of thought of 3D level design and environment art to actually just model out the bevel in the actual polygons itself, instead of trying to align a trim texture or align a bevel transition or something like that. The best games tend to use, I think, both techniques. So here you can see there's actually this bevel texture where there's a nice soft highlight going on, but it's also supported by the 3D geometry where you do see an actual change in shape of the level geometry. So there's both a texture and a polygon bevel there. And if you play games like Overwatch has kind of elevated the bevel to a wonderful art form. But here you can see the actual, against the silhouette, it looks kind of you can really see the bevel transition. And bevels are interesting because in this era of level design, we're not really doing bevels. Bevels are still kind of wasteful. If you're making a source mod in 2008 or 2009, you're not really doing bevels. I mean, you kind of are. I was doing bevels, but I thought of it as a huge extravagance. But the idea that this person is doing bevels is interesting because that's like a AAA kind of thing. If you're like a conceptual artist, you don't really care about the fucking bevels. You care about the heart and soul of what you're saying. One other interesting thing, so this is a puzzle that the narrator is explaining right now, where you have to guess the exact number going on here. And it's basically impossible. It's another impossible puzzle, much like the impossible maze with the invisible walls. This is also impossible unless you actually follow the instructions here, where it's 15, 16, 17. I've actually decompiled this map and opened it up in the level editor because I was kind of curious to see how they handled the scripting setup for this. Building this puzzle is not trivial in the level editor. Oh shit, I have to scroll all the way back to one. When you're to make a puzzle like this inside the Source Engine doesn't really have a traditional scripting or programming layer. So what you have to do, it's not easy to make variables, and it's not really easy to make like if-then statements so much. So the idea of making a combination lock is something that even an experienced level designer would have a little bit of trouble scripting or figuring out how to implement. But it's also just kind of bad design, right? This is just not what is fun to do in an FPS. This is what is not fun to make as a level designer. There's just multiple reasons why you never do this. But the reason why you'd make this kind of weird, convoluted combo lock system is so that you want to show off. Basically, you want to show off that you can make something that's kind of this complicated. And in the level editor, the setup is actually complicated. They use a lot of instancing, and instancing is a relatively decent addition to the source level design workflow. You only see it around maybe Portal 2 is when the community starts using instancing a lot more, or in kind of Team Fortress 2. You can totally use, people are asking, you can use Lua in the Source Engine, and you can certainly use it. Source Engine uses a dialect of Lua called Squirrel, I believe. But it wasn't common to do things like that in 2009. So it's kind of unusual to do that. Anyway, is this the right combination? 15, 16, 17. So the fact that this combination lock thing is here, it just means a lot. It means Coda might be an annoying person. I mean, at least to me. Coda would be that guy in the level design forum that is kind of misunderstood and then you kind of feel sorry for, but they're also just not good at talking to people, and they're also just not the most popular person in the level design community. And you feel bad that it's that way, and you want to reach out to them and include them in more things, but it's also like, why do you make levels like this? Why are you making this? And that type of person is in every creative community, and there's always a tension between in creative communities where you want to make sure everyone feels included, everyone feels like they're making good work, and everyone is appreciating each other. But there's also a sense where it's like, sometimes you just don't understand each other, and sometimes emotionally, socially, you're not gonna get along. And what does that mean for a creative community? Oh god, there's literally no way to progress because you can't open this door because the button's on the other. So Davey, oh no, we have Interlopers, guys. Yeah, Interlopers, woo. Interlopers was a level design forum. Is it still going? I don't know if Interlopers is still going. I don't really keep track of level design community. Oh god, I really like this sequence. Like long stairwells in Long stairwells in 3D games are just so nice. Like spirally stairwell rooms are the best. I love tower. The lighting is just really weird. So if you've been watching my stream before, you'll know I generally don't like it when lighting seems poorly thought out or when lighting seems implausible. And here we have very implausible lighting where there's just random spotlights at every landing. So it feels kind of mechanical and it feels kind of boring to me. But I think it's supposed to feel like that because this whole level is very conceptual and spare and strange. So it does make sense, this very stark, high contrast, very artificial feeling lighting style. It doesn't feel plausible or realistic or natural because that's not what this level's going for. God, look at these bevels. God, that bevel just so like bright. It's like shining into my retinas right now. What a show off. And actual detail on this texture is really nice. There's like a nice blend of soft and crusty and crunchy, and then like nice little bits of like color variation here. You get like a little bit of, I don't want to say poop, I'll say copper. You get like some like nice tinges of copper in this concrete. This looks like a really expensive kind of rock. Like if you were to make a house with this type of rock, this looks like the type of rock or marble you'd find in like a luxury hotel or something. It just looks really, really nice. A nice crunchy normal map with like small and medium frequency details there. This wall texture is just, I really like the wall texture. Interesting choice here with the stairwell conforming a lot to the wall. Notice this little bit of stairwell juts out. That's not really. That's not really readable either. Okay, never mind. But you notice how this little bit of stairwell juts out because it's following the actual pillars of the wall. Whoever built this is just a very level designy kind of person, right? Like, you have to be a certain type of person, I guess, to keep the shape of the pillar and the silhouette of that pillar and follow through with that all the way to the top part. And it's also kind of mirroring the pillars on the inside wall of the stairs as well, right? So that's just a really interesting way of breaking up your stair shape. It's like staggering it a little bit. Good bit of visual interest, but also just feels very like pure to me. Pure would be the word I would use. Oh god, now this reminds me of the Half-Life 2 Citadel too as well. And you hear just these voices and orchestral kind of music in the background. Very dim too. Maybe you're not seeing enough of this on the stream, but the shapes here are really phenomenal. Like, all the shapes here are actually kind of making this kind of shape right here. This kind of like triangular, and all the walls are kind of slanted. So it does feel like the Citadel. But the Citadel is also kind of like cathedral-like. This is like a cathedral of level design. Not necessarily in the layout of a cathedral, but more in the experience of walking on a cathedral and having these big, imposing shapes kind of like squeezing the life out of you, right? That's kind of what a cathedral's about. It's like God is like squeezing all the faith out of you when you enter a cathedral. You feel the weight. It feels heavy. Because that's the guilt you're supposed to have and all that. Let me turn the wireframe off again, sorry. And I like that they kept this whole pillar cutout motif because it does make the shapes a lot more interesting. If you didn't have all these different indents and cutout little details right here, then it would feel very boxy, I think. And it would feel like this designer isn't at the top of their game. It would feel like this designer isn't trying to make this holy kind of space. It would just feel like a boring gray box that doesn't feel finished. So previously I talked about how you might make your level feel finished. You might like alternate different periods of detail. You might focus on small details like bevels, but just in the silhouette, if you have a more complicated silhouette in your level, that also makes it feel like it's more finished, more thought out, more fleshed out. Oh man, look at that too. Oh god, I have a long way to go. Should I turn up the gamma? I feel like I can't see anything here. Oh, there is no gamma setting here. What? Ooh. Well, sorry. God, but these angled walls, really good. So good. And building like this is not easy. Uh, Previous streams I've talked about how in Source it's easiest to build in 90-degree square kind of angles. Anytime you introduce some kind of slant to anything or any kind of diagonal off-grid kind of construction you do, makes that job so much harder. And especially if you want to change or modify or cut into that geometry later, now you're just piling all these problems onto other problems. Oh man, this also reminds me of if you play to the end of the Dishonored 2 expansion, Death of the Outsider. Oh, spoiler alert, I guess. That game also has kind of like a citadel, very angular geometry section to it that feels interesting. In that one, it's kind of like this alien world a little bit, and I guess that's what this feels like. It feels a little bit alien. Oh man, what the hell is that? There's just this red, purple light here. What's going on? Why would you put that here? Wow, that's so strange. Why is that there? Most players wouldn't even see that, right? I mean, I didn't even see it. I didn't even look up to see it when I was walking down here. But when I swing around here and make this U shape, that's when I notice it, right? But why would you put that there? Wow, that's really weird. Those are like stained glass windows, maybe? But purple, magenta, even. Magenta's a very controversial color in 3D art. When you see magenta, magenta traditionally, especially in Source Engine, signals that something is broken. So most games usually avoid using magenta a lot. Oh, we're seeing more magenta windows up there. Yeah, everything's been very earthy so far. So when you see like a bright fuchsia like that, it's like, whoa, where am I? Reminds me of Quake 2, where Quake 2 has like a very bright orange sky to contrast with all the muddy brown stuff you're walking through. The shapes and geometry also remind me of this is just, I guess, very video gamey kind of architecture of if you play an old Half-Life 2 mod called Minerva Metastasis by ooh, I like how the sound suddenly stops too. By Adam Foster. He focuses on a lot of combine architecture and has a lot of shapes like. Anyway, let's keep going. Oh, now we're back here in this kind of like tasteful gallery setting. Very sharp Very tasteful trellis shadow or truss shadow being casted down. Dear Davey, thank you for your interest in my games. I need to ask you not to speak to me. I wonder at times whether you think I am making these games for you. These rounded stairwells remind me of earlier parts in the game when we've had rounded stairwells. So sometimes the typology of the levels actually does feel consistent, like it is one voice. And to be fair, I think one person did build a lot of these segments. You've so infected my personal space. That's impossible. That's possible. I did begin to plant solutions in my work somewhere, hidden between games. There was an answer, a meaning. Would it make you any happier? You stop taking my games, showing them to people against my wishes. So this is where a lot of people interpret this as like a big plot twist, where suddenly Davy is revealed to be a really unreliable narrator in this game, and suddenly it's like, wait, why is Davy doing this weird stuff? Giving them something that is not yours to give, violating the one boundary that keeps you safe. Would you stop changing my games? Would you stop adding lampposts to them? And you're like, oh shit, I've seen so many lampposts in this. Oh shit. What else has Davy been adding to this? Oh yeah, and the rope barriers at the bottom are actually a really nice touch, right? Because that's something you would see in a museum, and that rope barrier is like a boundary, like an architectural boundary you're not supposed to cross over between you, a viewer, and a piece of art. And this part of the game is explicitly talking about boundaries between art and viewer. So yeah, this is like the immersive sim plot twist, totally. Simply let these games be what they are. When I'm around you, I feel physically ill. But what if Davy added these text pop-ups too, right? Ooh. The fact that you think I'm frustrated or broken says more about you than about me. And yeah, that's kind of true. I think I talked about that earlier last week. I realize this doesn't make sense to you just yet. And then this brick room reminds me of the segment of the game where we're only able to walk backward. So nice callbacks from throughout the game. Just fine. You're not my problem to solve. But I do hope that one day when it clicks that you make peace with this thing that you are wrestling. And when you finally see what I'm talking about, don't say anything. Oh, and another one of these door puzzles that we've been seeing throughout the game. You walk through, walk in, but to get through, you have to close the switch and then run in. But this time, there's no switch on the other side of the door. Because now we're trapped. Chat, people are saying don't at me. Yeah, this is pretty much saying don't at me, right? Fix your own shit. Don't at me. This is why boundaries are really important to maintain as people who are connected on the internet, as artists, as people using social media. Boundaries are always important to keep. And even if you do set boundaries, someone else might be violating them, right? So it's not always in your control if you feel like anxious about your relationship with someone, because it might be the other person's fault. Sorry, don't mean for this to be a therapy session. So we're locked in this room, and you're supposed to be hearing Davy the narrator start to like unravel more. Up until now, Davy the narrator has been kind of being very calm and talking about how Coda has been the one unraveling a lot. Ooh, and the room's getting smaller. Oh my god, we're getting crushed. Oh my god, that's so creepy. Really nicely done, though. So now Davy is finally unraveling, and now we know Davy's the one who's been modifying the levels, and Davy's the one who's been like projecting his unravelness maybe onto these maps that we've been. Yeah, it's like a trash compactor. Oh jeez. Now we're in a museum. Nicely done museum. Really clean construction. Or we're in a train station. No, this feels more like a train station. Sorry. This belongs distinctly to a kind of like U.S. steel magnate kind of public civic infrastructure kind of thing. You go around the East Coast and you'll see a lot of buildings like this. Very neoclassical kind of stuff. Great construction. God. Really nice specular. I like how the floor is specular, but then the walls are not specular, and then the floor is just specular enough. I would say this is Half-Life 2's greatest contribution to video games. Half-Life 2's greatest contribution to video games is not in the gravity gun, not in physics gameplay. It's in its controlled use of specular maps and not overdoing reflections everywhere. And if that's the lesson, that's its influence, you know, for all of time, then that's beautiful, right? That's something I can totally sign on to. It's also maybe kind of an indirect callback to Half-Life 2 as well, which also begins in a train station and has a structure and flow that's a little bit like this. But I imagine you can't just steal the Half-Life 2 train station and put it in your own game, so you might as well build your own. Oh, this light is flickering. That movement, I guess, is meant to draw your eye to these doors. Oh man, but just, yeah, really just beautiful, clean construction going on. It almost feels like Team Fortress 2. Like, if the graphics, if the textures weren't so working in a mode of realism and the proportions were just a little bit more off skew, this would make like a nice, this could be a Team Fortress 2 map. It also kind of reminds me of CSGO custom maps. This is kind of the style that a lot of CSGO mappers, where it's kind of a clean realism. Oh, now we're in a train, but there's no windows. Ugh, so creepy. Oh, now we're out here into like a nice mansion. This reminds me of CS Estate a little bit, but you know, bigger. So now the narrator, Davey the narrator is apologizing for like misconstruing a lot of it, for misrepresenting a lot of Coda's work. Oh man, this actually, no, this reminds me more of like a Rainbow Six level or something. Like just the awkward proportions, the way out feels way too big. But like super thoughtful. I like the construction. Like I like, sorry to say like so much, jeez. I enjoy how this feels like a very plausible, well-balanced scene. and then you walk in here and you're like, what the heck is going on, right? There's like it's kind of the same way with the train back here, right? You walk into this train, and when you walk into this train, you're like, wait, where are the windows? This is kind of creepy. And there's no windows because there's like a whole transition they're doing, so they literally can't have windows while they're doing this. But it's just a nice interspersing of like totally plausible and well balanced to environment that feels off and strange, or like stuff is missing. I wish level designers took a lot more lessons from the beginner's guide like this. Like, I feel like a lot of the lessons people took from beginner's guide are, oh, people like walking simulators and you should do funny weird stuff. But the beginner's guide is also working in this mode of level design that's intensely conceptual and feels intensely human and speaks through the logic of the layout itself and in the rhythm of its details. And I wish that's what it was kind of more remembered for a little bit. Like I love Davy's narration. I like the story. I like how the pacing and flow of it, but there's also just so much it does with level design that more people should be emulating in how it in its like rhetoric, not necessarily in its content. Because we have enough video games about video games, I feel like. What would it be like to make a game that's kind of like this, but about something else, right? Ooh, I really like this. I'm turning on the wireframe. Oh, it's all displacement, so we can't see the wires, though. Ugh. I should have hacked. I should have brought in my own displacement wireframe shader. This is like a sewer, but like a super conceptual sewer. Love it. In some of the scale and approach, it reminds me of the Mirror's Edge sewer, except Mirror's Edge never would have done weird undulating surfaces. Right? Mirror's Edge is too angular. Ooh, and I love this transition. So we're going from this weird kind of like cavernous, like Zen kind of space, Zen like the part of Half-Life 1 Zen, to this part where it's just like all you see is this bloom and this giant, all these lines, just like this part where you just see the lines get longer on your screen. That's just a really, really well put together moment. And if you notice, if you play the game, if you play the actual game without all of Davy's voiceover deleted, like I have done, you'll notice that Davy's actually talking a lot less and sounds a lot quieter in this part. Which to me signals a lot, because part of it is that Coda, if you remember that previous chapter, Coda says don't say anything, right? Stop talking, just start listening a lot more. And to me that's also about how a video game level should kind of speak for itself to an extent. I mean, obviously I work in a mode of level design now where I'm actually super political and I literally publish artist statements for like each of my games now, where so I actually believe in talking a lot. But I think when I was working in this level design community in 2009, I did kind of feel like a level should speak for itself. Like if your level isn't speaking for itself, that means you need to give your level more to say. But now I don't, yeah, now I don't know if I can agree with that. So. That's like saying you shouldn't play a video game and look at a wiki, right? The wiki's not part of the video game. You're ruining the video game as it was intended when you look up that wiki. And it's like, no. Is Dark Souls worse because you look up a wiki as to how to do it? Was Minecraft worse because people were forming communities and sharing information about how to play Minecraft? That's not necessarily accurate about how we should consume video games, right? Oh man. So, reusing this level, but ooh, okay, no, I really don't like this. Oh god. So you'll notice there's a lighting error here where these pillars are not being lit properly relative to their environment. These pillars are too dark. I think whoever was in charge of construction here, like, this, I feel like they're like stabbing a finger in my eye. Like, so much of the construction here is so polished and well done and well considered. And then there's just like a big jarring light origin problem that they should have fixed so easily for this, right? Yeah, you'd place an info lighting and override the light origin for these static meshes so that they be lit properly. Because right now, the origin for these static meshes might be embedded in the wall. So then when you do the light calculations, it might think this whole pillar is in shadow because the center of this pillar is embedded in the floor or the wall or something. But if you just fix it, why would you not fix it? Oh, God. Literally a finger in my eye. So spiteful. So insulting. And then this feels kind of nice. I like this. No decoration. Just simple. And then the hallway, it's just you kind of alone with your thoughts. I feel like I should be silent for them. Like, I feel like me speaking over this is like sacrilegious or something. And now here we revisit a element or mechanic that we saw earlier in the first week we were playing Beginner's Guide, where this is from the spaceship scene, where when you jump into the beam, we're gonna fly up, and there's like a weird hack. So this is kind of like a full circle moment. So jump into the beam to sacrifice yourself and save everyone. And now when we rise up, we see the big maze. And now peaceful music. It's like we're finally rising beyond the maze. It's like the maze represents our like anxiety or something, and now we're learning to kind of overcome it. That we don't need to solve the maze. You know, we can just fly over it, right? Or maybe we died and we're going to heaven, right? Let me turn on the wireframe real quick. Sorry to spoil this beautiful, touching moment. You'll notice that the blue stuff is the actual geometry, but then the red wireframe, that means that's just textures being tiled over and over. So you'll notice only that blue part, that blue moire part, is the actual built geometry. And now that's the end of the game.
Turn back.
4R. R is not me. R is someone else, not me. I'm not Coda. Seriously, I'm not Coda. But anyway, that was the end. This project would not have been possible without the following individuals. So I think these are people. Oh no, I wanted to pause it. I wanted to pause on that screen because I think a lot of the contributors to the beginner's guide. I think Davey's like a brilliant auteur, brilliant artist, but I also wish that auteurism didn't come at the cost of kind of ignoring all the other people and all the like other elements of craftsmanship that went into the beginner's guide. Like I wish we could recognize more of them, um, and not just maintain this. To me, that's why the fiction of maintaining that Coda is real is kind of harmful to me in the end. Oh gosh, that's supposed to happen? Did I break that? Oh, I'm so sorry. I want to see the credits again. Yeah, but to me, that's why maintaining the fiction that Coda's a real person is kind of bad to me and feels bad to me because that kind of hides all the actual people who did build the beginner's guide and maybe aren't recognized for all the time and effort and energy and brilliance that they brought to the team as well. So, yeah. But I'll just repeat that one of the people who built a lot of the beginner's guide, his name is Matthew Bright. Uh, Look him up on the credits if you're interested. Brilliant Quake 3 level designer who did a bunch of AAA work and then maybe burned out of AAA. I'm not sure. If you're listening, Matt, please, don't be a stranger. Talk to me. Be cool to know where you're at. But he did a lot of the cool moments of Beginner's Guide. Um, what else? I would say all the people on that second page of the credits were maybe like playtesters or confidants or friends of the development team. And I believe Richard Flanagan was also listed in that first page of credits. Richard Flanagan, brilliant sound designer, uh, worked, made a game called Fract OSC, which is a really great first person game. I might try to play it actually for the stream. That's a game where you like make songs to solve puzzles. So if you select that part of Zelda Ocarina of Time where you go doot 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 to like solve things, uh, you'll like this. It's like that part over and over and over again in a really cool world. So play Fract OSC if you're interested. Anyway, there's so many people who worked on this game, and I wish we did a better job of acknowledging labor in the game industry. Anyway, thanks for watching the stream. Went way over an hour. Geez, that took longer than I thought it was going to, but it was worth it. And I guess I'm glad that I followed through for the whole stream. Some last takeaways, I would say, for this whole playthrough, for this whole 3-week playthrough I've done. Um, the first level, remember, starts in a Counter-Strike, so a lot of that, to me, validates a lot of the Counter-Strike vibes I was getting near the end. It's kind of a history through like a lot of people's stories of becoming level designers and finding their own voices in level design. So to me, it's like I see some parts of my own story in it personally. I see many parts of other people's stories in this game too. So to me, it's kind of like a beautiful tribute, I think, to the community and what a lot of people have done with their careers. So, um, good job, Davey. It's a really nice piece, really meaningful, a lot to take away and think about. Anyway, thanks for joining us for these past 3 weeks. Or if you missed the stream, feel free to catch earlier weeks. I don't know what I'll do next week. Maybe a big AAA game. I don't know. We'll see. But in the meantime, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. And see you next week, I guess. I'll be doing a lot of traveling over the next few weeks. I'll be in Copenhagen next week for Nordic Game Jam, and then the week after that, go up to Montreal for a research conference, and then the week after that, I'm going to Amaze in Berlin. So if you'll be at any of those things, feel free to say hi. Feel free to say you're a fan of the stream or something. It's always good to meet people. And anyway, see ya. Thanks for